let's say you found a skeleton. How would you tell if it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody, welcome to Gish with Vish. I am here with my hosts. There was a little bit of a Dapper as a professional earlier, so we're going to take a quick drink for that. And also, I have this thing set up where it shouldn't be, so we'll take 2 drinks for Dapper as a professional. Hello, I've just unmuted everybody. How is everybody?
Oh, no, okay.
That's fine. I don't need to finish stories or sentences. It's cool.
Sorry.
Did you notice that I was not the one talking when you started?
I did notice.
Did you see that?
I did notice.
I just want to point that out.
Yes. So,
But
but
Vish was talking,
that's
and
true.
it's rude. It's rude to interrupt Vish when she's talking.
It is, but I also accidentally changed the scene, and I couldn't reset the stream start soon in time, so I had to hit go live. So, I'm sorry. It was entirely my fault, and I would not do it again if I could change it.
Oh,
I
also,
screwed up.
it's been a week since we told Dapper how to turn off the auto translate in chat, and he hasn't done that either.
Because I also keep forgetting. To be fair, yesterday
You can
was a
do
bit of
that?
yesterday was a bit of a weird news because I got some bad family news. So I was a
But
little
the rest
off.
of the week?
The rest of the week I had been forgetting about things. So yeah, I don't have a whole excuse.
Evidently.
That is why I do not have a picture for you that you've been requesting. It's because my plan was to do it yesterday, and then I got some bad family news, and I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do things today. I'm going to do things tomorrow. And then today is tomorrow.
I'm sorry.
Let it please the court that I did remind him throughout the week. So
Thank you, Vish.
You did. My plan was to try to do it yesterday. That was my plan originally. And then
Things happen.
Things happen.
And
I got a call from my mom, and
that.
it wasn't great. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't great.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm sorry for that, Dapper, and I hope things are okay.
I appreciate it. It's not clear to the degree to which things are okay or not. So
all right.
Yep. All right, but hey, we have this is the return of Gish with Vish. So a while back, what, years ago now? 2-3 years ago? Is that how long ago it was? We did 13 episodes of Gish with Vish, where we went over Duane Gish stuff. And we ended on a Hanukkah
and then he
episode.
Died.
Well, no, he died long before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but I was approached by...
You ended up on a Hanukkah episode?
Yes. We ended with a Hanukkah
Duane
episode.
Gish talked about Hanukkah.
No, we did, because it was Hanukkah when the episode aired.
Oh, I see. But it had Duane Gish's presentation. It had nothing to do with Hanukkah.
Nothing at all. However, it was Hanukkah when we aired the episode. And so
Understood.
the thumbnail had a little, Hanukkah menorah and talked a little bit about Hanukkah on the episode.
Listen, with the amount of Jewish cultural appropriation that Christian apologists like to do, part of me feels like I wouldn't be surprised if Duane Gish talked about Hanukkah. But then I'm like, that does feel weird, though.
I would be a little bit surprised if he did that. Naramda puts for $2 says, "Dude, just do it now." It can't take that long. It can, actually. It can. The last one I did took a fair while. I think it was a 4 or 5 hour project overall of like getting everything aligned correctly and all that stuff. It actually does take a while. All right, so this is a book by Duane Gish talking about how evolution is dumb and stupid, though. And it was Fits of Rage encountered it and was like, this would be a cool for a revival of Gish with Vish. So I said, I'm down with that. But then I tagged Vish saying, like, I don't know what Vish is. And then she said that she was, in fact, down. So here we are. Fits of Rage has recorded the preface and the first chapter for us of this book today. And the name of it escapes me. So that's a fun thing.
By Duane Gish. The book is by Duane Gish.
Yes. The book is by Duane Gish. And Fits of Rage has recorded it for us. The first chapter.
I am
and the
here
preface. Yes.
For reasons.
You are here as our special guest.
That's nice.
Yes.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I like being here most of the time.
Thank you.
So, are we going to talk at all about last weekend?
So I don't know
What I mean?
No, I know what you mean. I just don't know how much
okay.
you want to talk about because
Oh,
yeah. People know
because
that
of
I
what?
was hanging out with you and Maya
Yeah, fun.
and Tapioca.
Weasels.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry,
So,
he has like 4 different names in my brain, and so I'm always struggling to figure out which one I want to use.
and I know it's difficult. He does have a lot of names.
Yeah.
So
yeah, go ahead. Tell everyone as
But-
much as you want to tell them.
yeah, I wanted. I because when we were driving, because that's really. I mean, it was awesome hanging out with you.
Thank you.
But it was almost as exciting going to stopping at the Thing Museum on my
Yes.
way to Tucson, Arizona. And not just because it's the Thing Museum. That's what it's called, right? The Thing Museum, I assume.
I don't believe so, although I actually did forget to grab that photo. So let me grab that real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'll introduce this verbally.
Right.
We were driving, Maya and the Weasels and I were driving through the desert on our way to go see Dapper, and for maybe not hundreds, but like at least 100 miles, we were seeing like dozens of billboard ads for this amazing looking place called The Thing Museum.
Yes.
And it got me excited. I thought, wow, that looks like a cool place to stop, because they have pictures of like dinosaurs on the billboards and aliens. And I thought, dinosaurs and aliens are cool.
They are.
So that would be cool to see. So, and this was purely by accident, because Maya was like, no, we're not stopping there. We're not. She was like, no, we're not doing this. So this was totally not. This was a coincidence. And as we learned on my stream yesterday, Vish, coincidences are usually just that, coincidences, and that's what this was. I had to go to the bathroom, so I thought we should just pull off at the next gas station that I see so that I can go to the bathroom. And wouldn't you know it, it was the Thing Museum where we stopped. So they would, the Weasels and Maya would not agree to try to get in as a family for $10, although I think we totally could have. And I sent a picture to Dapper, and I don't think I even said anything. I think I just sent you the picture, didn't I?
Yeah. And I said, you were trapped by the trappiest tourist trap in Arizona.
Yes.
Yep.
So, and you told me what's inside the Thing Museum,
yep.
which I'm not sure how to feel about it. Part of me is like, oh, okay, but then part of me is like, damn. And I think I asked you, I'm like, is it a good? So I mean, I'll just tell everybody, it's an alien mummy. Is that right, Dapper?
Well, it is unlikely that it was designed to be an alien mummy. It seems more likely that it was designed to be a fake human mummy of a mother with a child mummy. But it has since been relabeled as an alien mummy by the Thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
But it is a fake. It is not a real mummy. There is not a real organism under there. So yeah.
Sure.
I do have some super chats I want to get through real quick before we continue on. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, I have a copy of Dinosaurs by Design. If anyone needs some laughably bad paleo art from paleo experts, I might actually want that. Naramda puts for $2 says, turning off auto translation is a 4 to 5 hour project. It's not. I just keep forgetting to do it because it should be off by default, and I keep forgetting that it's important. Also, there's a Dapper as a professional, because I set the super chat goal to only teal accidentally. I meant to send to any super chats, but I didn't, so my apologies. Which also probably means we won't get unleashed today, which sucks. All right.
Oh, sorry. I just looking at the chat here. So, but that was not that was not the most interesting thing that happened.
No.
On Sunday at the Thing Museum. There's also a Dairy Queen, and Maya also wanted a Blizzard. So, well, because I mean, who doesn't want Blizzards all the time? So we got Blizzards, and while we were waiting for them to make our Blizzards, Tap was wearing his very cool green T-shirt that I think people have seen before that says "Eat, sleep, fire the laser, repeat." It's really neat. And a gentleman who was sitting in the Dairy Queen said to asked Tap about his shirt, and so he and the Weasels were talking about lasers, which was cool. And Maya and I kind of joined them, and he was like, "Oh wow, you guys are all together," and we're like, "Yeah," and I'm from Canada, and Tap is like from Northern California, and he's like, "Oh, that's amazing." And then Maya said to the guy, and she points at me, and she says, "This guy here is also a doctor, and he is an actual scholar of the Dead Sea Scrolls." And this guy's face lit up like I've not seen in some time. And then he asked me something about the Dead Sea Scrolls. I don't remember what it was. But then the next thing he asked me was one of the most amazing things that anyone has ever asked me. He said, "Do you study about the 6,000-year true history of our Earth?"
Oh no.
Oh yes. So, but also, oh no, because in that moment I was like, "Oh God, what has happened?" And and then I
wasn't even there for it.
You weren't even there. I think the Weasels and Maya were kind of secretly delighted about it, or openly delighted
I was gonna say, I don't think it was a secret.
And I spent the next 5 minutes trying to figure out how to get out of the Dairy Queen and back into my car. So, but if you want to hear, I'm going to talk. So we're doing Budget Scripture Saturday tonight, and Tap is going to be on, and we're going to talk about the Dairy Queen, experience. So if you want to hear about that, then you should tune in.
Danielle OS says, "I missed something. Was this man like a Yek missionary?" No, I think he was just a wild lay Yek. Just like a regular old Yek who that's his thing. He believes it. The Bible says it. He believes it. That settles it. Fits of Rage for $2 says, "Adding my own trigger for my mispronounced words." Actually, so I did listen to this because I wanted to make sure that the audio was like good, not get rid of any noises, any of your flubs or anything. And I don't remember there being a whole lot. I remember you actually having done a really good job. So, we'll see. Let's see. Metageeky Platypus Librarian for $5 says, "I'll contribute as pain meds address my joints. Answers in Gish is the corpse that smells better than AIG's bag of doohickeys," with the dick part capitalized. I like cats. I like cats too. And then there's a Mothra. So we'll take a drink. I like cats. I just can't hang out with them too much. By the way.
Are you allergic?
I am. Not terribly allergic, like I'm not going to die or anything, but it can become unpleasant if there's been a lot of cat. Yeah. Yeah. So, by the way, the drink counter is indeed in binary today. We're doing a binary drink counter. All right. So we are doing the drinking game. I do have some mango cider here, which is just apple cider with mango, but like whatever. It's also stronger than my Guinness from last week. So,
I'm drinking an atomic pumpkin. Sorry, not it's a pumpkin ale. Nice. From Voodoo Ranger. Nice. It says on the can, it's not on the can. It's on the here it is. Ale brewed with pumpkin, cinnamon, and chilies. It's quite.
Wait, did you say
yummy.
Chilies?
Yes.
Is it spicy?
Yeah. It's got habanero. It says habanero in it. And it's I don't know if you saw that. It's the Atomic Pumpkin spicy release.
Oh, I can see that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Kip,
So-
the H is silent in Spanish.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Habanero. Is that right?
It is.
Did I get it right,
It
Vish?
is, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you use the English R instead of habanero, but like
Habanero.
habanero, yeah.
Is that where's the accent?
I think it's on
The
the
R is rhotic, by the way.
How do you say it, Vish?
Habanero.
Habanero.
Wait, there's no Enya over on that.
Are
Is it
you
not?
sure?
On haban, pretty sure. Let's find out.
Okay.
Let's see.
I have no dog in this fight.
All right, I'm on Wikipedia, but I'm going to switch the language to
Spanish.
Spanish. Actually, no, it has a Spanish pronunciation, and there is no Enya there. It's habanero.
Oh. Habanero.
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 You didn't ask me how I spelled it. You asked me how I pronounced it.
Oh, well, I'm just saying that according
Okay.
to Wikipedia, the Spanish pronunciation does not palatize that in. So, let's see. Victoria Macarios for €2 says AIG is finger counting to binary 4. Yeah, I'll just take a drink. I'll take a drink. All right. Let's hit play on this and let's listen to.
Are these before you hit play? I'm looking at the characters on the video. Do these correspond to anything, or are these just random symbols?
They are in fact random symbols.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, but now the next time I interrupt you, Kip, you don't get to complain.
Okay.
All right. We're starting with the preface. I don't remember who wrote the preface. It doesn't really matter.
Preface. This book constitutes one of the most devastating critiques of the evolutionary philosophy one could find. It goes right to the stronghold of the supposed scientific evidence for evolution and demolishes its central bastion.
The evolutionary philosophy.
Yeah. So there's
Is that a thing?
No. So, like, the philosophy behind evolution is just that empiricism is a valid way to learn about the universe.
Yes.
Right? So, like, is that a philosophical position? Yes, it is, right? Like, that is the philosophical position that is basically what science is built off of, right? And it is, in fact, a philosophical position you actually have to adopt. You can't prove that that's the correct way to go about things in a logical sense, right? Because science is built fundamentally on the idea of induction, that past experience is something that will allow you to make predictions about future experience, which is not actually technically something that logically follows, right? So, for instance, if I say that, every day at 10:30 a.m., the mailman shows up and either delivers mail or drives by if I don't have mail. That does not logically entail that the next day he will show up at 10 a.m., right?
You have, because I was at your house, and I noticed this. You have a cute mailbox in front of your house that has like the little flag thing.
Yes,
on
I
it.
do.
Does the mailman actually put the mail in the mailbox?
Yes. Unless it's a
And does he
Flag is
does
for
he
when
do that?
you're sending mail out.
Yeah, the flag is not for him.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, really? I got this wrong.
He can put the
Wow.
flag down when he takes the mail, but
Okay.
I don't normally send things out in the mail from the mailbox because
No.
when do I ever send a letter? And the last thing I mailed via USPS was mailed to Vishanti, actually. And it was a pain in the ass for her to actually get it because USPS decided to be dicks about it.
They do that.
Yeah,
I've had
so,
experiences.
yeah, she got a hand-me-down graphics card. So, yeah. Graphics cards are super expensive. So when I upgraded twice now, my upgrade has involved giving my previous graphics card to Bent, who does not do a lot of production. And then this most recent time, I was like, well, what do we do with Bent's old graphics card? And I was like, what if we send it to Vishanti? And so we sent it to Vishanti.
It's a great idea. I did want to.
I do, in
that,
fact,
Hold
do
on.
quite a bit of media editing and recording. So,
Sorry, Kip.
I did want to point out that Fits of Rage says that Henry Morris wrote the preface.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. They did a lot of work together. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, we already have to deal with Evo Psych, and now we have Evo Phil. Yeah, evolutionary philosophy. So yeah, basically to get back to that whole philosophy thing, that is basically just the philosophy of evolution. It's just that science is valid, which, yep, sure is.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's hit play. Oh, geez. Normandy Foxford says video cards are expensive. Actually, weeps in current memory prices. Yeah, both of those. Both of those are the fault of AI hyperscaling. So, if you want to point at who it is responsible for why you can't afford electronics anymore, it's basically Sam Altman. That's the primary antagonist of that story.
Great.
It's going to generate profit any day now, bro. Just a few more prompts. Just make a few more microchips. A few more gallons of water, bro. Just come on. Any day now. It's going to number go up.
Yep. Also, when he was complaining about how the danger that his husband and child, I don't remember if it's a son or a daughter, were in as a result of people doing things like throwing bricks through his windows or showing up with guns at his address. Like, I am not happy that, your kid is being threatened. I care less about your husband because, he chose you, which was a bad call. But also, I don't know why I should care more about your particular family than I care about the family of all the kids whose water you're polluting, whose air you're polluting, or whom your chatbot is telling to go unalive themselves or their family members or both, which is also a thing that's happening. So it's like, sorry, Sam, I just don't have a whole lot of sympathy for you because your product is actively killing people.
This seems like an active problem because I know of a certain Christian apologist, raging Islamophobe who, engaged in raging Islamophobia and is sad and scared now as a result of that, and ended up raising.
It's Mike Jones. He spends his time being completely Islamophobic and just,
but not just. I mean, Islamophobic in like the most offensive ways.
He intentionally pisses off people.
Yeah.
And then is shocked and afraid and terrified for his safety when he gets doxxed because of it.
Yeah.
Actually in any danger. I need to make that clear. He's feeling fear, but he's not actually in any danger. So yesterday somebody in Kip's chat was like, oh, so you're blaming him? You're saying he deserves it?
Oh my God, right.
He repeatedly, publicly told people where he lives. He's like, oh, I live in this city. Da-da-da-da. He wasn't shy about that. He shows his face on camera. These are things like, he just didn't think about it. No consequences, right? And then he starts all these arguments. He knows what he's doing. He's drumming up a mob to go after Muslims again. Like we haven't been doing this BS for 20 years. And it's like, I got doxxed. I need to raise $250,000 so I can move to a better WASPy neighborhood. So that like when I make fun of Muslims and I like contribute to the rise in hate crimes, I can feel safe in my McMansion.
As I pointed out to Mike's own friend and coworker, this was 100% avoidable. This was 100% Mike making choices that he did not have to make.
Right.
And when you do that, and it blows up in your face, there should be some there are going to be consequences to that. But
so you think it's okay to dox people? Did I say that?
No.
Did I imply it?
By the way, I ended.
Those are things like I get so pissed. We were just talking about this earlier, where it's like you announce, "Hey, I like pancakes," and some asshole goes, "Oh, so you hate waffles then?" No, bitch, that's a whole new sentence. What the fuck are you talking about?
Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, an apologist didn't think something through? Seems a common occurrence. It does seem a common occurrence. Also, I ended the poll. The poll was, how's the new set? And Great won at 49%, followed by Turtle at 37%, and Whatever at 14%, and no one voted for I Hate It, so that's good. Lizard Lass, who's been a member for 3 months, says, I finished a blanket I abandoned a year ago. Well, congratulations. That's awesome. All right. Here we go. Let's get a little bit more of this preface in, because we are 15 seconds into this, and the first few seconds were silent.
The fossil record must provide the critical evidence for or against evolution, since
I actually disagree and would say that the fossil record is secondary, and that primarily the twin-nested hierarchy of morphology and genetics are actually definitive all on their own, and the fossil record is a nice extra boost. But, like, whatever, that's not a huge deal to me.
It was. How old is this book, though? Like,
I mean, it's Gish, so it's probably like the 70s.
right. So, is it fair to say? Because it seems to me that there was a time when the fossil record probably provided the primary evidence.
No, I would not say that that's true.
Okay. All right. What do I know? I'm a biblical scholar.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that you're being dumb for saying that. I'm just saying I don't think that that's actually accurate. So I would say that there basically has never been such a time. And one of my reasons for saying that is that in Origin of Species, Darwin already talks about how he wishes that the fossil record were more complete, and that he thinks that when it is, in fact, more complete, when we find more stuff from the fossil record, that it will support his hypothesis or theory or whatever he was calling it, which it did. But that is why I don't think it was ever the primary evidence, because it wasn't even a big part of the argument in Origin of Species, which is as early as we can reasonably go with the theory of evolution as it's now understood. My Unfinished Journey for $6.66 says, Hail Nero, hail Daps, Kip, and Vish, and hail the resurrection of the Dapper Pewter. Yes, the Dapper Pewter is in fact, once again, in production mode, and not in perpetual standby mode. So, you know what? That sounds like a great name for a Mechanicus chapel. The Chapel of Perpetual Standby Mode. All right. I'm going to hit play.
no other scientific evidence can possibly throw light on the actual history of living things.
That's just not true, right? Because genetics is the thing that can do that. Now, to be fair, when he was writing this, it was before we could reasonably sequence genomes, right? Like
32 TWSSC, capable of holding the entire collection of the New York
Kip?
Public Library.
Why
This
is there
state you
feedback
won't
coming
find at
through
Best
your
Buy
computer?
Or any electronics retailer, even if you were willing to.
Because my phone sucks.
Kip's a professional, everyone. Take a drink.
Boomer strikes again.
All
I
right.
really struggle with using my own phone.
It's okay.
Boomer coded.
So, yeah, it is the case that maybe in the 70s, which is when I'm going to assume this book was written, that genetics was not a very strong point of evidence. But just the more nested hierarchy is not actually predicted by special creation. In fact, Carolus Linnaeus, or Carl Linnae, whatever you want to call him, was kind of surprised that it worked that way, that it was so easy to put living things into nested hierarchies in a way that it wasn't with, say, minerals. Because one thing that people forget is that Systema Naturae included plants, animals, and minerals in his classifications, and there is not nearly so detailed a like nested hierarchy for rocks, because rocks don't fall into a nested hierarchy because they don't just come about from descent with modification. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, Duane Gish was the kind of man who should only take issue to Henry Fairfield Osborne on evolution. Henry Fairfield Osborne. There's a mixed bag if ever there was one.
All other evidence is circumstantial and can be more effectively explained in terms of the creation model.
That would be something I would like for a citation for, but to be fair, I think that is what the rest of the book is about, so like, okay.
The timescale of human observation is far too short to permit the documentation of real evolutionary change from lower to higher kinds of organisms at the present time.
Well, that relies on the phrase lower to higher organisms, and would either my co-host or the special guest, Kip Davis, would either of you like to guess what the rigorous scientific definition is for which organisms are higher versus lower?
Vibes.
Kip, what do you think? You think it's vibes?
He's
You're
muted.
He tried to drop that F-bomb.
Once again, it strikes out. I said vibes at the same time Vish did.
Oh, okay. By the way, I know that you dropped the F-bomb, but you were muted, so I'm not counting it.
I did not drop an F-bomb.
Okay.
I did not.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a liar.
Okay.
I did not drop an F.
All right. So yeah, it's vibes. There is no actual rigorous definition for what's a higher or lower organism. But that being said, we've observed a lot of evolution in the lab, in the wild, in real time. Right? And we've now been able to document it at the molecular level. So one of the things that I really want to highlight is the degree to which this is making like basically a prediction, right? The entire premise of this book is evolution is scientifically indefensible, and we're going to figure that out. But the counter has happened. Every single year, the amount of evidence in favor of evolution just gets piled onto by almost every single paper that's published in the realm of biology. And none of the papers remove evidence of the truth of evolution. My Unfinished Stock for $2 says, don't lie about evidence, like and share instead. Thank you very much. And I will increment the little funding thing. There we go. All right.
The vital question, therefore, is, does the record of past ages, now preserved in the form of fossils, show that such changes have occurred?
Pulling the panel, does the fossil record indicate that evolutionary change has occurred? We all say
Yes.
I feel like that's a
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was taught in my. I did 2 semesters of introduction to biology
Oh, nice.
in university. So, but that's the extent of my training knowledge of the subject. But that seems to align with what I learned.
Well, that's because it is correct.
Nice.
The answer unequivocally is, the fossils say no.
Take a drink. And that also reminds me, that is the title of this book, is The Fossils Say No.
Oh, okay.
Or sorry, Evolution, The Fossils Say No. So, yeah.
It's a banger of a title.
It is a banger of a title. And in fact, there was a sequel to this called Evolution, The Fossils Still Say No. Which is a good title for a sequel, but only if you're familiar with the original, which I don't think is a good assumption on a book about young Earth creationist interpretations of paleontology. If it was a blockbuster movie, then sure, that could work as a like sequel title. But like, I don't think this is well-known enough work. But to be fair, the only of those 2 books I've only ever owned the second one. I don't think I currently have it. I'm pretty sure that got lost in some move sometime back in like the 2000s. Maybe the 2010s, but probably the 2000s. So, yeah. I'm pretty sure that book didn't make it out of like my parents' house after I left for the Navy. So,
wow.
Yeah.
By the way, I watched a really good video about the Navy yesterday, more specifically about aircraft carriers yesterday on ABC News Australia has a podcast called If You're Listening, which is it's like a modern history podcast, and it's very good. So they did a 25-minute short history of the aircraft carrier, the supercarrier, I should say, the starting with the USS Forstall in the 1950s, which caught on fire.
Yes, it did.
So did the Enterprise.
In fact, a number of the hatches on the aircraft carrier that I served on were actually just repurposed Forstall hatches.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And so
can you tell us which aircraft carrier you served on, or is that like
who was the John C. Stennis?
Oh, okay, I don't know that one.
It's so there's a few reasons you might not know about it. One is it's not currently in active service because it is currently undergoing a refueling operation, which was supposed to take 2 years, but is currently stretching into a 5th year, apparently.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So the idea behind the nuclear powered aircraft carriers is they're supposed to be able to go for 50 years with one refuel in the middle of that. So you go for 25 years, you get a refuel, you do another 25 years. So it is currently refueling. The other reason you might not have heard of it is because the person it's named for, former Senator John C. Stennis, it's named for him because he was a big fan of increasing the budget of the Navy. He was also a virulent racist and pro-segregationalist.
Of course.
So, yeah. I wasn't
I
super happy
also-
to be on a ship named after him, but who boy were all the
No.
black guys I knew even less happy about it.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
I also learned yesterday that the new carrier that is currently under construction and something like 10 years late at this point, was going to, I forgive me for not remembering the name, but was going to be named for, or is currently supposed to be named for, a black Navy hero.
Yep, he was at Pearl
serviceman.
Harbor. He was a cook, and then when the attack went down, he was around to man one of the anti-aircraft guns, so he just started doing it.
Oh, God, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Someone was like, "You go shoot down those planes," and he's like, "I'm a cook, but okay." And he gets behind an anti-aircraft gun and starts shooting down Japanese fighters and bombers.
Wow. Yeah. So, but then it sounds like some people would prefer to name it after the current U.S. president
I
instead
would
of
say
this guy.
the current pretender to the U.S. presidency.
Touche.
Remember, he's not actually constitutionally qualified to be the president.
Is that right? Why not?
Oh, because he committed insurrection against the United States,
Oh, sure. Yes.
which is a constitutional
Okay.
disqualifier. It's in the Constitution in black and white.
It's in the Constitution?
Yeah.
God damn.
After the Civil War, there was a amendment
Sure.
that made it
Yeah.
illegal for anyone to be elected to a federal office who had previously committed treason or insurrection against the United States of America
Wow.
without congressional permission.
Wow.
And then the Supreme Court looked at that and they were like, "Yeah, but what if no, though?" Which is one of the big reasons why I say that the United States Constitution is not actually currently in force in the United States. Because more than once now, the Supreme Court has just looked at the Constitution and said, "I would prefer it to be a different way." And that's just what we decided that's okay. Like, sure, I guess that's how we do it now. Dia Wing, who's been a member for 46 months, is at the annual level, says, "I think RJ is doing these 2 books over on Evolution Hour." Oh, that's really cool. But then also sends a Godzilla, a Mothra, a Ghidorah, a Carmen, and an AIG as a bag of dicks. So we will take a drink. Then Metageeky, for $5, says, "Do the fossils keep saying no? Quit asking. Respect consent, Mr. Gish." Sheesh. Who are you? Lot's daughters in the cave with their dad? Oh no, with a Carmen. We'll take a drink for that. Gross. That sure is a story that's in the Bible. Yikes. I mean, it's probably not the most yikes story in the Bible, but it's up there. I would argue the flood is way more yikes because, like,
all the dying.
yeah, all the
lot-
like murdering all
people.
the babies. Yeah,
Lots of death.
like all
Yeah.
of the people except for the 8.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's probably worse. But also, like, I don't know. Hey, author of Genesis, maybe you don't have to put, that story in there.
Been no evolution in the past any more than in the present. This important fact is conclusively demonstrated and documented by Dr. Gish in this book. Dr. Duane T. Gish is a careful scientist of
Dr. Duane T. Gish is not a scientist. He is a pseudoscientist. And the way that you can tell is that he selected a conclusion prior to going into the evidence, which is the opposite of how science works. Anytime someone starts with a conclusion, even if the conclusion is correct, then they start hunting for evidence for it, they're not doing science. Science is evidence first, conclusion second. Pseudoscience is characteristically conclusion first, evidence second, if at all.
impeccable academic credentials. He has successfully defended creationism before numerous university and scientific audiences and in formal debates with many of the nation's leading evolutionary scientists.
Okay,
I
so
have a question.
real quick though, we're going to take a drink for that being technically true, and then you can ask that question. Go for it.
What are Duane Gish's impeccable academic qualifications?
If I remember correctly, he had an advanced degree in hydrodynamics and hydrodynamic engineering. He was really good at fluid flow, which, to be fair, from what I understand, he was. And in fact, my understanding is that he wrote what was the standard textbook for students studying hydrodynamics for decades. So, like,
It's fun thinking about fluid flow.
yeah, I mean, it's a super important thing, right? Like, I don't know if you know, but plumbing is super important. Not just for your house, but like for society at large, including large scale like fluid flow things and like, you know, chemical plants and whatnot. It's really, really important that we have a good handle on that. It's also just not really helpful for like paleontology, you know? So yeah. Also, I do want to point out that Duane Gish, it is in fact true that he debated many, many, many so-called evolutionists. But I also want to point out that he was such a shady character when doing it that we now to this day still call just rambling off a whole so much bullshit that your interlocutor doesn't have time to interact with all of it a Gish Gallop. It's named for this Gish. This is the Gish from the Gish Gallop. He would get up on stage, he would spew dozens and dozens of claims, all of which were complete and obvious bullshit to anyone who knew the subject he was talking about. But he did it so quickly that no one really had time to respond to all of it in the allotted time, because of course, the bullshit asymmetry principle applies to creationism, right? It takes about 3 to 4 times as long to explain why a claim is bullshit as it does to make the claim in the first place. And that's a good. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $2 says, quit gushing on Gish. Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, it is the forward to his book, so like that's what forwards are for. So yeah. And also, Duane Gish was on many occasions shown to his face to have one of his claims be very obviously wrong, and then would acknowledge it, but then in his next debate would make the same claim that in his previous debate he had been shown to be wrong, or it had been shown to be wrong to him, and he had admitted that it was wrong. So one of the more famous examples was Gish was a big fan of the bombardier beetle idea, right? So the idea is that a bombardier beetle squirts roughly boiling hot mild acid out of its rear end at would-be predators, right? Causing both chemical as well as heat burns, which, you know, not fun to get hit by. Also, my unfinished journey for $2 says the hydraulic engineer was John Morse. Oh, I got them mixed up. Oh, sorry about that. Then in that case, I'm not sure if I remember what Gish's credentials were, actually.
Somebody said he was a biochemistry degree from UCLA.
Oh, well, that makes this example even worse then, because here we go. And his idea was like, well, how could this evolve? Because if it evolves step by step, the bombardier bleeder will blow itself up, because when you mix these two chemicals, they react violently in an exothermic reaction. But the problem is that they technically do react in an exothermic reaction, but it's a very slow reaction, and it's not at all dangerous. And this was demonstrated by people saying, okay, I've got the two chemicals, which one of them is hydroxyquinone, and the other one is I don't remember what the other one is. Doesn't matter. But like, here are 2 bottles of them. Now, according to Dr. Gish, if I mix these, there will be an explosive reaction, and I will be in extreme danger of getting severely burned. So then his debater just takes the 2 bottles of the 2 chemicals and pours them into a glass container right in front of their face. And what happens is that the mixture turns brown and warms up slightly, and that happens slowly. Like, that's it. That's all that happens. And Duane Gish was like, oh, well, I guess I was wrong about that. I thought this was going to be a violent reaction. Okay. And then the next debate, he repeats the same claim about how if the bombardier beetle starts to evolve slowly and the 2 chemicals mix, it'll blow itself up. Yep.
Yikes.
Duane Gish was a liar. And the reason I know that he was a liar is because he admitted when he was wrong sometimes, and then continued to use the same claim that he had already admitted was wrong. So, like, I don't know what to conclude other than that he was a liar. If you have another example, let me know. Kylie P says, you know what's also exothermic? Mixing vinegar and water. Wow. Yeah, exothermic. So big explosive, high heat chemical reactions are exothermic, but so are just like it slightly warms up the solution. That's also exothermic.
This book, under its original title, Evolution, The Fossils Say No, has gone through several printings in its first 3 editions and has...
Okay, so this one is actually The Fossils Still Say No, because this is a later edition. Got it. So this is actually the book that I used to own.
Oh, okay.
Already been eminently successful in its mission of convincing men of the truth of creationism.
Okay, so that's technically true. So we're gonna take a drink, but also the people it's convinced were just creationists who were kind of on the fence about it because it seemed like science was making some good points. This did not take a bunch of paleontologists and turn them into young Earth creationists.
In this new enlarged and revised edition with a new title to emphasize the positive nature of the evidence for creation, it is still more convincing and will, no doubt, have a greater acceptance than ever before.
Well, that didn't happen. In fact, the share of people who deny evolution in even the United States, which is one of the countries with the highest rates of science denial on this topic, that number is still on the decline.
Anyone who reads this book and who then still rejects creationism in favor of evolutionism must at least acknowledge that he believes in evolution in spite of the massive witness of the fossil record against it.
All right, that's the challenge, guys. If after we finish with this book, we still believe in evolution, then we have to assess, is it despite the evidence or is it because of the evidence? Right now, I would suggest that it is because of the evidence, but I am open to changing my mind on that. You know what? I hope Duane Gish convinces me of young Earth creationism. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. Hey, it means that all that time I spent in, like, my younger years being all like, oh no, is everything that my church has taught me a lot? Yeah, I would be able to just undo all that. I'm like, oh, I guess not. Maybe I'd start going to that church again. Although, no, because they're thousands of miles away. But maybe I'd start watching them on YouTube because they do have a YouTube channel. I found it. Although they don't actually seem to be young Earth creationists anymore. They
Really?
they haven't had a single
Interesting.
they haven't had a single sermon on their YouTube channel that I can find that's about evolution or the age of the Earth. And then one of the preachers there casually dropped the idea that a city in the Middle East has an archaeological record going back like 15,000 years, which is well beyond any young Earth timeline. So maybe they're
Were
older
they trying to
creationists.
make? Okay. Were they trying to make a point about the Exodus, perchance?
No, they were just. It was some city that comes up, I think, in like Chronicles or something, and they were like, okay, here's some background story about this particular city. It's this is the city. It's in this country now, and its archaeological record goes back to this point in like the Stone Age or whatever. So it's one of the longer inhabited cities in the world. And okay, cool. And like not the Stone Age.
Sure.
It was the Bronze Age, but whatever.
Sure.
Which, I mean, I didn't double check every single thing they said, but none of it seemed implausible, and it was all incompatible with young Earth creationism. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. All right, here we go.
Chapter 1. Evolution, a philosophy, not a science. The general theory of organic evolution, or the evolution model, is the theory that all living things have arisen by a materialistic evolutionary process.
Sapphire Gay Sapiens Light says, is this because the USGS isn't paying you enough? Yes, it is. The USGS had their funding cut, and now they're busy renaming the Great Lakes, apparently, because that's a thing that they need to be fucking doing. Oh, I just dropped it. So yeah, instead of paying me for the propaganda, they're spending money on changing the name of Lake Ontario and everything, because some people are idiots and think that the lake is named after the province rather than the other way around.
Yeah, and the lake is actually an indigenous word.
Yes,
which means sparkling waters.
Yeah,
and
it's a description of the lake.
Has been called Ontario for over 400 years, which is longer than
probably like 1,000 years, honestly.
So yes, which is way longer than anybody even imagined that the United States or Canada or the province of Ontario could be a thing.
Yeah. Yep. Also, it's less American than many lakes. For instance, many lakes are entirely within the borders of the United States of America. Lake Ontario isn't one of them. So, like, if anything was going to be Lake America, I don't know, maybe rename Lake Mead. Although that's not going to be a body of water that exists for that much longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Lake Michigan entirely in the United States?
Ooh. It's almost entirely in the United States at the very least, but I'm not sure if it's entirely.
Hmm.
Might not be.
Still a better candidate, I think.
It is a better candidate, but Michigan is an American state, so we can't rename that. And also, I don't actually know, but oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm guessing that the name of Lake Michigan also predates the existence of our two nations. But
I was also, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that the state is named after the lake in another example of this going on. I don't actually know, but my guess is that the state of Michigan is named after the lake of Michigan.
Process from a single source, which itself arose by a similar process from a dead, inanimate world. This theory may also be called the molecule-to-man theory of evolution.
Okay, so creationists love to do this, which is they love to shove extra parts of science into the label of evolution. And what just happened, oh, I just forgot to turn off one of my notification sounds. We'll take a drink for Dapper's a Professional, and then I'll go fix that. So, I don't know for certain if this is why they do that, right? But I suspect that the reason that they do this is a strategic thing, right? Because it is easier to convince people that science is just broadly wrong if you can lump a bunch of unrelated things into science. And you can say, oh, the theory of evolution includes the Big Bang, stellar formation, stellar evolution, abiogenesis, the planetary formation. It includes geology. It includes astronomy, nuclear physics. It includes everything about biology. And then when you say shake someone's belief in science in one of those areas, if they already have it in their mind that this is all one big area of science called evolution, then it will shake their faith in the rest of it, right? Or not their faith, really, but their confidence, right? So that way, if you tell people that the Big Bang is part of evolution, and then you convince them that, like, I don't know, Michael Behe's irreducible complexity argument is a good argument, suddenly, because they're conflating evolution with everything, including the Big Bang, now suddenly they're like, oh, well, I guess maybe the Big Bang is bullshit too. And that's the only reason I can think that they do this, other than maybe that they're just stupid, which is also a distinct possibility. Babaton says the governor of Wisconsin renamed Lake Michigan to Lake Wisconsin.
Wow, that happened?
I don't know, but that's especially dumb. And here's the thing, right? The names of things on official documents are set by government policy. But that's not how naming things in the real world actually works. Things are named the things that people call them. Right? So if everyone calls it Lake Ontario, it doesn't matter what the USGS has on their website. It's Lake Ontario. Just like it's the Gulf of Mexico, and it's Lake Michigan. Not Lake Wisconsin, it's not Lake America, and it's not the Gulf of America. Michigan, in fact, means big lake. Guess what it was guess what was named that first? I'm going to go ahead and guess the lake, since it means big lake.
I was going to just be contrarian and guess the state.
You can still do that.
Mm-hmm.
The creation model, on the other hand, postulates that all basic animal and plant types...
There's no way to tell what counts as a basic animal or plant type. Like, Vish, you've been doing this with me longer. How many times have we seen creationists claim that there is some kind of basic kind of animal or plant, and then completely fail to even attempt at a rigorous definition that would let us actually test that claim?
A lot.
Yeah, more than I can count, certainly.
The created kinds were brought into existence by acts of a supernatural creator using special processes which are not operative today.
Okay, so I want to go through a translation. We're going to take a drink because, who boy, is that a dumb thing to say? Okay, what that means in translation is, I think that there's counter evidence against the basic scientific consensus. Instead, I would prefer that you accept an idea for which scientific evidence cannot exist. That's a really dumb dichotomy to make. Because even if there is compelling evidence against the scientific consensus, such that the scientific consensus should be rejected, that does not mean that your thing that can't even have evidence in the first place is right. You're not even in the running yet until you can actually produce actual testable evidence, which omniscience kind of makes impossible, even if the omniscient thing is the correct, or the omniscient guy did a thing is the correct answer. Let's see. Oh, Babaton said he was just trolling Trump and Lake America. Oh, okay, cool. In that case, it is actually an amusing joke.
Oh, the Wisconsin thing.
Yeah.
Very, very amusing. I approve.
Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says Bulbasaur is a basic plant type. Venusaur is a derived plant type. All right.
Listen,
all right.
if you want to have fun while watching astronomical events, get high and watch a lunar eclipse, because halfway through you'll blurt out things like, "Hey, that looks like Voltorb."
Yes, you will. I know firsthand.
Is this what happened at Fatima? Sorry, I've been watching way too many Catholic apologist videos about
what
the
happened at
Fatima
Fatima
Sun Miracle.
is that the Virgin Mary appeared to some kids and gave them secret prophecies that are currently being held in the secret Vatican archive and are all about how the world's actually going to end unless Russia converts to Roman Catholicism.
Yes, but then there's the miracle of the miracle of the sun.
That was real. The sun was dancing around.
Hey, you know what? I may as well finish telling the story I was going to tell before Dapper goes, "Hey, let me go get up and get a drink." And then he came back, and then the show started, and Kip was talking, so it's fine. Yesterday, we got to talk about some of these alleged miracles. We didn't go into debunking because they've been debunked so many times that it's barely worth talking about. But one of our good acquaintances, let's say, popped in the chat to insist that they've read all the contemporary reporting, and lots of people who weren't already Catholics saw it. Because, they wrote about it in the newspaper.
That is how mass hysteria works.
But see, it can't be, because communists and atheists were there.
I see, and they are immune to mass hysteria, unlike Catholics?
SJ typed communist/atheist.
Oh, right.
Because those are the same and interchangeable.
Of the Christians most likely to be communists, Catholics are pretty high up there, actually.
Actually,
yeah. You want to talk about liberation theology in Latin America and how the United States didn't like that? And went in and toppled a bunch of regimes so they would stop doing liberation theology and communism.
Also sponsored evangelical missionaries to go to South America to disrupt liberation theology. The reason that a number of evangelical denominations have significant followings in Latin America is because of the CIA. If you're in Latin America and you're an evangelical Christian, there's a good chance that you are one because it was a CIA psyop. And I'm not kidding.
Goddamn.
That is actually a thing.
It is literally true. It's not even an exaggeration. It's just the case. The CIA funded missionary work to get them onto the right version of Christianity, because Catholicism was getting
the capitalist version.
Right. Because Catholicism was getting too woke down there.
I'm
taking a drink for that because it hurts my brain so much.
Yep.
Vote for Dapper Dinosaur in 2028. I'll abolish the CIA.
Nice.
I'm cool.
As well as
the other half of that story is we were talking about exorcisms. And of course, SJ uncritically believes in them. Because, in her own words, multiple priests say that they saw people walking on walls and, exhibiting all the signs. And again, in her words, if they were lying, well, that's against canon law.
Right.
I see. And in the history of Catholicism, has any priest ever actually violated canon law?
Why would they do that?
Yeah, I feel like that's never happened, right?
I mean, people don't do things that are against the law.
No, that's why
why no one speeds, no one commits murder, no one embezzles, no one commits tax fraud.
It's also why no pope ever had to repeatedly issue papal bulls telling priests, hey, you're not allowed to take women as lovers and just say that they're your housekeepers. Can't do that.
They did that a lot.
Yeah,
Or it's
they
also
would
why
never do
no
that.
pope ever
Yeah.
had to repeatedly say, it's actually illegal to dispossess the Jews. You can't do that. You have to let them keep their property. Yeah, because everyone always follows canon law. Neither of those things ever had to be repeatedly said over and over and over again. In case you're wondering,
True.
I have
Sure.
a history degree with a minor in medieval and Renaissance studies, so I know
That's
what I'm
fun.
talking about. Which is to say, that had to happen over and over and over and over again because no one listened. All the priests kept taking lovers and calling them housekeepers, and all of the various people, not all of the various people, but repeatedly, people were like, oh, hey, this plot of land with a cool farm on it, it's owned by Jews. I guess it's mine now. Or
So,
not just farms and land, but like all sorts of other things too.
so this is I did want to say so this is semi-related because I've learned a lot about the miracle of the sun over the course of the last 24 hours.
Against your will.
Stuff, kind of, yes. But I will say this: when I was a kid, because kids are dumb,
Mhm.
I would stare at the sun and see how long I could stare at the
That's
sun.
a really bad idea, but okay.
I think this is
Yes.
starting to explain some things.
So, but you know what happens when you stare at the sun for a really long time?
Burns into your retina.
Goodbye, retinas.
Sure, but
You get the after image.
it dances around like crazy.
Yeah,
like it's
stuck to your
like,
retina. So
it's
every
exactly.
eye movement you make, it goes with it. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's what happened at Fatima, isn't it? I mean, to me,
I don't
I'm like,
know.
a bunch of people stared at the sun for way too long, and it messed with their eyes.
Maybe.
So that,
Or maybe it was the Blessed Virgin showing up and convincing everyone that she had actually done so.
Okay.
Well,
yes.
I asked specifically why it is that people who already believed that a miracle was going to happen saw it. And that's when SJ was like, but even the communists/atheists were there and saw it.
We got a few things here. Sapphire Gay Sapiens Light, who's been a member for 51 months, is at the amniote level, says, I checked my stat sheet and it does say that I have mass hysteria immunity. It's still valid if that's written in crayon, right? The Carmen. Yes, that is right. That is even if your atheist immunity to mass hysteria is in crayon, it still counts. Just like your character sheet in D&D, you can write it in crayon, it still counts. I'll take a drink for the Carmen now. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, multiple priests swore they didn't touch that child. Yeah, that's also against canon law. And the regular law.
Which means it never happens.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so the exorcism thing, we were talking about people being very credulous and gullible. Stage magic and things like that. And SJ wasn't answering many people's questions because, as you well know, she put out a video, 10 questions atheists can't answer or whatever, and turned off the comments. So, we're not really dealing with an honest
You can't
good faith interlocutor here.
You can't answer these questions because
No, you literally can't answer them. Yeah. So she goes, well, I mean, multiple priests, say and attest that they saw this thing. Does that make me gullible? And I just went, yes.
Oh.
Multiple people in the chat were like, yes, that makes you gullible.
Yeah, that does make you gullible. I missed a super chat. Dutch Tunicate Official for $2 says, I honestly expect Trump to rename, in quotations, a country next. The thing is, technically he could for the United States. He could just say, hey, in government documents, we're going to refer to France as pee poo poo.
I mean, he did just say we need an ocean now.
Yeah. There's going to be a Pacific Fleet and a Trump fleet in the Navy.
Okay.
I wondered if he might just rename both the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans, the America Ocean, because,
the left America Ocean and the right America Ocean.
Yeah, that's it. It seems to be the only name that, I mean, you've got the Gulf of America and Lake America and just name all the oceans America.
Even
That's-
like the Southern Ocean, called the bottom American Ocean, and the North Sea can just be the top American Sea, and the Indian Ocean can be the far away America Ocean.
Yes.
Yeah. Saint Shlomo for $20 says, gotta scroll back up. Non sequiturs mean we hear less Gish. That's true. Dogstar played this weekend at the venue attached to the casino I work at. This morning, Keanu visited our coffee shop outlet, ordered his coffee, and sat quietly in the corner on his phone. Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you know
That's
what?
cool.
That's very Keanu. Just chilling
Here's the
quietly.
thing I appreciate about Keanu Reeves. This is a man who is fantastically famous and quite wealthy, and yet manages to have been non-scandalously married to the same woman for decades, and has absolutely no accusations of sexual misconduct or anything else like that.
Correction.
Uh-oh.
He did have a partner back in like the 90s, who was gonna have a kid with him, and she died in an accident. Or wait, she passed away from health. Anyway, doesn't matter. And then he didn't have a partner for a very, 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 very long time until, within the last 10 years, he met a local like artist and poet, and they've been together ever since. I don't think they're like officially married, but yeah.
My bad on that one. But
He was
still,
single for a very long time after that because he took the loss of those family members pretty hard. So.
one of the few people from Hollywood with whom I would trust a small child or teenager of either sex.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was a car accident or what it was, but yeah, she had a very untimely passing, and
that sucks.
Yeah, hit him pretty hard.
Sad.
So.
Keanu Reeves is Canadian.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Neat.
He used to do Stratford, which is the Shakespeare.
And and he also made some of his earliest friends here in Los Angeles by playing like street hockey, which is people he randomly met at gas stations. So.
Nice.
Roshna for $4.99 says, I had a dream Dapper was the doctor, Vish was the companion trying to stop him, Gish was the master.
Oh my god.
You know what? I want the doctor to regenerate into a Ceratosaurus. Because Vish, I gotta tell you, if I were the doctor as a Ceratosaurus in my Ceratosaurus themed TARDIS, I would absolutely go land over by your place and say, come on, we're gonna go have adventures through time and space.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I ever somehow become the doctor, you're my number one choice for who to go have space-time adventures with.
Hijinks. Let's go.
We'll go pick up like Chesh and Kip for the occasional one-off episode.
Okay.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm stuck on the Keanu Reeves thing, but even my mom, my 80-year-old mother, loves Keanu Reeves.
As well she should.
How can you not?
All right, we are a little bit overdue for a break. I am low on my beverage here, and I think it is a good time for a quick break so people can do some bio break stuff, get new drinks. And in the meantime, we get to listen to the musical stylings of Beethoven, which I did remember to include on this instance of OBS, because it's a brand new one, and I had to redo a lot of stuff. So we will be right back after this quick break. Hello, everyone. We are back. We have a few things to read here. First of all, Heather Kuhn for $10 says, "Don't need to stare at the sun to get images jumping around. You just need to stare at something with no obvious stationary reference points. Your eyes' normal motions will do it. Look up saccades, SACCADS. That is interesting. I will have to go look that up because that is not a word I'm familiar with. All right, and then Lieutenant Matt the Navigator gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships, which I have included in the funding thing, but I have not taken the drinks for yet. So I'm going to take 5 drinks while Vishanti tells us which vampire lineage is best from Vampire the Masquerade.
Nah, there's no. Not gonna do that.
Everyone knows it's Gangrel,
It's not.
he said sarcastically.
Okay.
All right. Although I will say, I do appreciate that they changed the name of the Assamites to be less racisty. But also,
Yeah.
I don't appreciate that they just made up a fake Arabic word to shove in there. And because the thing is, Hakim is a word with a K, but they spelled it with a Q to make it seem more Arabic-y, but that just turns it into not a word.
Nice.
Because that's
Well,
not a
not.
word. Yeah, because
Yeah.
like in Arabic, there are 2 letters. There's kaf and khuf. And they don't make the same sound, even though to English speakers they sound like they're making the same sound. So you can't just switch those letters out in Arabic and have it make it sense. Those are different letters. In fact, ancient Hebrew also made a similar distinction, if I remember correctly. So there you go. All right. So now that we're back, I will do the quick commercial thing, which is to say, hey, this channel is entirely supported by you guys, and if I want to be able to make videos like this and do live streams like this for as long as possible, for as long as I possibly can afford to do it. And the way that you guys make that possible is by joining the Patreon, joining the channel members, all that stuff. Super chats, gifted memberships, super thanks, things like that. So Patreon starts at $1 a month. There's a 15% discount if you go annually. Membership starts at $1.99. Patreon is where I get to keep the most of it, but I mean, you do the one that sounds better to you. They both give you access to my Discord server that's just for supporters. They both give you access to my early access videos, which are currently standing around like 5.5 months or so worth of early access. So there's just dozens of hours of content that you can just get. Which, Kip, I think currently you're a member, so you could go look at that.
I absolutely could.
Yeah, you won't
do
though.
that thing. Well,
probably not.
Probably not.
That's all right. So if you don't want to do like a monthly or an annual pledge, there is also a merch store. There's a merch shelf right below this video. If you don't like any of those things, but you still want to get something, click through. There's more stuff that's not on the merch shelf. There's mugs, there's baby onesies, there's phone cases, there's stickers, there's blankets, there's pillows, there's t-shirts, there's hoodies. So, feel free to get yourself some Dapper Dinosaur stuff. I don't make a whole lot of money on that, but what I do really like is people showing me pictures of them with my merch. Because I really like seeing like, oh, hey, I got my Dapper Dinosaur mug. And like, yeah, sure, I make like $1.50 on that mug. Which I haven't actually made.
Will say,
sorry, go ahead.
While I'm on vacation, still.
Right.
And while I've been on vacation, most mornings I have been drinking my coffee from a Dapper Dino mug.
That's really cool.
And it keeps the coffee suitably warm.
That's good to know.
And I don't spill all over myself.
Oh.
So it's doing the mug thing that it's supposed to be doing.
Nice.
You should buy one.
Yes, you should. Everyone should. Everyone in the world should buy a Dapper Dinosaur mug. Everyone.
Yes, everyone.
All right. So, and then if you want to help me render, which is actually pretty important, there's a description of how to do so in the description. You just go to the website that's listed, download the client, put in the login credentials, and then launch the program. It will take up some of your GPU or CPU cycles depending on how you set it, and it will help me get my videos out in time. Let's see, what else is there? I think that's basically it. Also, only don't join if you can't afford it. If you are worried about like your groceries or your rent or something like that, and you don't have money for like random internet dinosaur know-it-all, then don't give money to random internet dinosaur know-it-all. Sometimes I have actually described my job as I'm a professional know-it-all. It's like that's
Pretty
my
good
job.
description.
Yeah, that's my job. I'm paid to be the smart guy. And you know what the key to being the smart guy is? Don't forget the
Having
stuff
a
you learn.
PhD.
No.
Oh, wait.
No.
Oh. Okay.
There are some really
Sorry.
dumb PhDs out there. Like there's this one guy, I think his name is like Kipathy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a gigantic idiot. So
Worked hard, ruggedly good looking.
yeah, well, sure, we'll give him that. But
Okay.
no, the key to being a know-it-all is to just remember the things, and also to admit when you're wrong, when you are wrong, because otherwise, then you just sound like a liar. The turtle moves for £2 says, "Is Trump renaming the other continents to America?" I mean, at this point, it seems like he might.
It might as yeah.
Yeah, like I don't even know. And the thing is, he's not actually renaming these things, right? Because, like I said, things are named what people call them. And I can guarantee you that no significant fraction of the world has shifted to calling it the Gulf of Mexico or Lake America. Very few and only diehard Trumpers have ever made that shift, and most of them probably haven't. And also, that number is dwindling. Trump's approval ratings in the former United States are in the low 30s. I have never been alive for such an unpopular president. That's not true. I've never been part of human society for such an unpopular president, because I've been alive for all of them, obviously.
Have there been less popular presidents?
I think he's currently like tying the least popular ever, but also part of the problem is that like exactly how we conduct polls has changed and stuff like that. So like it's not always apples to apples, but like these are historically low numbers. Landon Knoll says, "Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone, latitude, and level of vacation. Hello, Dapper Dinosaur. Hi, Kip. I mentioned you to a biblical scholar. And hi, Vishanti.
Ooh. Hi, Landon.
You've been name dropped by Landon Knoll, who is the only person who's been on this channel who has a Wikipedia page, to my knowledge, at least as far as like been on the channel as a friendly voice and not an antagonist. So,
nice.
Yeah. All right. Here we
go. I
don't
have one.
I was going to say we'll have to make one for you, but I'm pretty sure that's against the rules if I make one for you because I know you.
It's true.
And you definitely can't do it. It's super against the rules to make a Wikipedia page about yourself. That is not allowed.
Obviously.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, who wouldn't have their own Wikipedia page?
Exactly. Yeah.
Normandy Foxtrot says there are statistics that argue that Trump is about as unpopular as it is realistically possible to be. Yeah. So
that's amazing. Wow.
Back in 2016, I developed for myself this idea of like the Bigfoot test. If you are less popular, if your popularity or your perceived trustworthiness is lower than the percentage of people who think Bigfoot is real, you get a real problem. And I developed it to describe why Hillary Clinton was a really dumb candidate for the Democrats, because she was in fact less trustworthy. Fewer people thought she was trustworthy than thought that Bigfoot was real.
Wow.
Which is why she was a really dumb candidate to run.
Yeah, that's damnable.
And so, yeah, ever since then, I've thought to myself, okay, how does this compare to the number of people who think Bigfoot is real? Because, like, you'll always get some percentage of any country who thinks really dumb, stupid stuff. And so, like, you have to have some kind of level of, like, threshold. And for me, it was Bigfoot. All right, here we go. Despite being a fan of Bigfoot as an idea, I want to point out, I don't dislike the idea of Bigfoot. I think it's a lot of fun. I just don't think it's real.
Most scientists accept evolution not as a theory, but as an established fact.
Okay, we'll take a drink for this well-credentialed scientist who doesn't know what a theory versus a fact is. So here's a drink. I will get to your super chat after I say this bit, Lieutenant Math Navigator. Okay, so theories and facts are not like things that are on a slider in science, right? Theories don't graduate to become facts. A fact in science is a data point, right? So a fact in science might be like, hey, what's the temperature of this chemical solution right now? Write it down, and that becomes a fact in science. Facts are the least interesting part of science. Facts are what we build the interesting parts out of, right? They're the building blocks of hypotheses and theories and models. What a theory is a way to take a bunch of facts that are not otherwise related to each other and unify them under a single framework that lets you predict future facts. Not necessarily facts about the future, but it will let you predict what facts will be recorded in the future. So, for instance, a prediction about what fossils will be found, that's a prediction about facts in the future, even though the fossil itself is from the past, because you haven't found it yet. So the fact part hasn't happened yet. So you cannot have a theory turn into a fact because they're fundamentally different things. However, in common parlance, a fact is usually treated as something that's so likely to be true that to pretend that it's not true would be like weird, right? Like we can say it's a fact that both Vish and Kip have at least shoulder length hair. Because you can just look, it's there, right there, they have it. If you were to pretend that they didn't, you would have to go through all sorts of crazy mental gymnastics to justify this, right? Because you can look at them. They're on camera. And it's a fact that I have scaly skin because I'm also on camera.
But by the way, I got a haircut before I left for my holiday. Excuse me. And my barber charged me for only an undercut, which was awesome because that was only $20.
All right. So now Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says, when Dick Cheney shot a guy, his approval rating dropped to 18%, but it only fell by 5. Oof. That's rough.
He was also never president.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So I remember actually at one point he came to give a speech in the hangar bay of the aircraft carrier I was on. And we were all told, like, oh, hey, the press is going to be here. And we were given this like briefing on the things that we can and can't say to the press. And one of the guys I knew got in not a huge amount of trouble, but a little bit of trouble because a reporter asked him, so what does it mean that the vice president is here talking to you, to all of you today? And he was like, it means I have to stand in the hot hangar bay for no reason.
That's it?
That's it. That's all.
Damn.
Because the thing is, that's what it meant. No one cared what Dick Cheney had to say because it didn't matter to our day-to-day lives on deployment. It was just some asshole who had just recently shot his buddy who showed up to talk to us about, oh, the mission is accomplished and we're doing such a great job. We all know it was bullshit. There was no mission that was accomplished. None of us could even articulate what it meant for the mission to be accomplished in the first place because you know what? The Iraq War never had a victory condition. In fact, I'm going to say this about the United States military. The United States military is great at blowing shit up. It is absolute trash at either setting or accomplishing strategic goals. So if all war was blowing shit up, the US would be great at it. Turns out, though, that that's not all that war is. You actually need to have articulable, like, objectives, and then you need to achieve those objectives. Otherwise, you're failing at the war, which is why the US keeps losing wars, I would point out. Like, when was the last time the US didn't lose a war? I would argue Korea. And they didn't win that war. It was a stalemate, and it's still a stalemate. Lost in Vietnam, lost in Afghanistan.
Iraq.
Iraq was mostly a loss. It wasn't entirely a loss, but it wasn't a victory. Losing in Iran right now.
What about Iraq? Why?
I'm seeing that we lost in Iraq because our actions directly led to the rapid proliferation and expansion of ISIS.
Yeah, that's true. I would argue that Iraq 1 was also largely a failure because it didn't even accomplish the regime change.
Was that I guess that was a goal, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dutch Tunic Official for $2 says, I love many things I think aren't real with a Godzilla. Yeah, that's also true. I do love many fictional things like Godzilla, and we'll take a drink. All right. And then the Turtle Moves for £5 says, America measures length by football field, so why not popularity by Bigfoot belief? I mean, to be fair, the Bigfoot thing is not like a thing in America. Like, it's a personal me thing. So, like, you're not going to read, like, an American newspaper and be like, the president has fewer supporters than the country has Bigfoot believers. Like, that's not going to come up. It's just for me, personally. All right. And I guess now it's for any of you who want to adopt the Bigfoot metric, which is to say, if an opinion is less popular than that Bigfoot exists, it basically is just a nonsense thing that people don't believe in, even though you can always find weirdos who do.
The late Theodosius Dobzhansky, geneticist and widely known evolutionist.
And also Christian. I know that Duane Gish probably isn't a big fan of Eastern Orthodoxy, or possibly might not even know that it exists, even though it is the second largest group of Christians in the world. But it does exist, and they are Christians, and he was one of them. Just toss that out there. In fact, he was a member of the largest autocephalous church of the Eastern Orthodox Communion, which is to say the Russian Orthodox Church. Although the degree to which it's still in communion with the rest of Orthodoxy is a bit up in the air ever since the Patriarch of Moscow started blessing bombs being dropped on other Orthodox Christians, which you might understand was not a super popular move among the Eastern Orthodox Christianity populace. In Fallout terms, you might say everyone hated that. I haven't played a Fallout game in so long. I should go play Fallout.
Formerly professor of zoology at Columbia University and visiting professor at the University of California, Davis.
Evil Ginger Miniatures, who's been a member for 13 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says, I get to use this feature for once. Hey, congratulations.
Has said that, quote, the occurrence of the evolution of life in the history of the Earth is established about as well as events not witnessed by human observers can be.
That's a really strong claim. You realize that, right, Gish? That's saying, hey, you know how sometimes we can solve a murder even though no one witnessed it? With, fingerprints and fiber analysis and blood splatter and, ballistics and all that stuff? And then we can be beyond any reasonable doubt sure that the person accused did the thing. He's saying it's more well evidenced than that, Duane. That's what that means. I'm talking to Duane as if he can hear me or as if he's alive. Yeah. Just play New Vegas. 4 is okay, but the story is kind of and 76 sucks. I mean, I am aware. I also liked 3, even though the story was kind of nonsensical. My favorite thing is that there's a Fallout game where your mission is to go get a water supply, right? And the only water supply has been contaminated. And so you can go and decontaminate it, but only by exposing yourself to lethal radiation. However, you can have a super mutant as one of your companions in the game, and super mutants are immune to radiation damage. But when you say, hey, super mutant who is immune to radiation damage, can you go in there and turn on the filter where it would kill me, but you would be completely unharmed? And the super mutant will just say, this is something you have to do for yourself. What are you talking about? Why? That's dumb. I went through all the trouble to get a radiation immune companion, and then when I say, hey, can you do the simple thing that would kill me but would leave you completely unharmed? He's like, nah, bro, you gotta go die. Dumb. I hate that. Even though overall I like the game.
Richard B. Goldschmidt, a professor at the University of California, before his death, has stated that, quote, evolution of the animal and plant world is considered by all those entitled to judgment to be a fact for which no further proof is needed. Almost all science books and school and university texts present evolution as an established fact.
Okay, so this is all true. I'm taking a drink for it being correct. But I want to point out what that means, right? When something is the universal conclusion of everyone who's educated enough to have an opinion that matters, what that means is if you disagree, you are almost certainly wrong. I can't say for certain that you're 100% definitely wrong, because you know what? Experts aren't always right. But it does mean that the chances of you being wrong are virtually zero. The number of non-experts who have disagreed with the universal consensus of experts and then been shown to be right, I can't think of a single time. The closest I can come is continental drift, but that was also an expert having a contrary opinion to other people who were like, continents don't move.
That's the important qualifier, right?
Yeah, he was also an expert.
Yeah, I'm like, there's certainly times when the consensus has been overturned.
Oh yeah.
But by a non-specialist, by a non-expert.
I don't know of a single time that's ever happened.
I mean, one of the reasons for that, I mean, I guess is when you get to a point where your arguments and your presentation is convincing enough to experts, by that time,
you are an expert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $2 says, fun fact, Fox is an ancestor of Zap Brannigan. I don't remember where that was established, but that is fun. I do like Zap Brannigan. Yeah, he's a fun character. I like how he defeated the Killbots. Do you guys remember how he defeated the Killbots?
I don't.
So it turns out that the Killbots all have a preset kill limit. And then if they reach that limit, they stop killing. So he just threw enough troops at them that all the Killbots reached their kill limit.
I have no idea what's going on.
You don't know who Zap Brannigan is?
No, I've heard the name.
He's a recurring character from Futurama.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that show very much.
You should
I've
watch
seen
it.
episodes.
You should watch it. It's good. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I know.
uneven. Not every episode is great, but it's pretty good.
No, I enjoyed the ones I watched.
Yeah. It's the other Matt Groening show. We don't talk much about Disenchantment, which was not very good. It wasn't terrible. I didn't hate Disenchantment.
No, I agree. It wasn't terrible. But
it just wasn't nearly as good as Futurama or the early Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
For $5, Lieutenant Matt the Navigator says, making a joke about their eagerness to sacrifice others unnecessarily. Yes, that was the joke about the Killbots.
You know, a few weeks ago, I watched The Legend of Billie Jean, which came out, I think, in 1985. Don't go close.
And Billie Jean is not Michael Jackson's lover, in case anyone is curious.
Yes, and in fact, the movie itself, I learned after the fact, was the writer, directors, whoever of the movie, contemplated changing the name just because of how popular the song had become by that point, and they were not sure they wanted the association because there's no relationship whatsoever between
except for the coincidental names.
Once again, a coincidence is very, very often just that. So, but I brought it up because Yeardley Smith is in the Legend of Billie Jean, along with a very young Helen Slater and Christian Slater, who are not related but play siblings in the show, which is really kind of interesting. But it's weird, yeah. But yeah, Yeardley Smith, who is still, I believe, supplying the voice for a juvenile Lisa Simpson.
Yep, I believe so.
So it's wild.
Yep.
Considerations alone convince many people that molecule-to-man evolution has actually occurred. The proponents of evolution theory adamantly insist that special creation be excluded from any possible consideration as an explanation for the origins on the basis that it does not qualify as a scientific theory.
Well, because it doesn't, right? Because it's not falsifiable, it's not even realistically testable. And it includes non-natural things that we, again, can't test for. So, yeah, they should be doing that. I'll take a drink. Partly because I'm thirsty. By the way, this drink counter goes to 255, in case anyone's curious. I think we could get there.
Today?
Maybe. It does actually remind me. I read a tech news article, and it was like, the messaging app, WhatsApp, has increased the maximum number of group chat users to 256. They have not said why they chose such a specific and odd number. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You don't know why it was 256 and you're a tech reporter? You don't get that they're giving everyone a unique ID based on an 8-bit integer, and that's how high you can go in 8 bits is 256? No? You don't know what the powers of 2 are? Okay, cool. It's great to know that all the tech reporters know about as much about technology as the science reporters do about science. It bugged me to no end that someone was like, why would it be such a weirdly specific number? Yeah, why would it be a power of 2? I don't know.
That's funny.
Impossible to figure out.
On the other hand, they would view as unthinkable the consideration of evolution as anything less than pure science.
I mean, I don't know if that's true. but I do know that creationists have not really done a good job of showing that it's not science. And then the China Math Navigator for $2 says, but this one goes to 266. Well, maybe, but this one doesn't.
Pure science.
Oh, Normandy Foxtrot says, I mean, read tech news articles on OpenAI or Anthropic. Yeah. One of the things you realize once you become like relatively knowledgeable about a subject is that the reporters who cover the subject that you know about don't know the first damn thing about that subject. It comes up so much. Like every single news article about paleontology is like new find of insert taxon, like dinosaur or hominin or whatever, rewrites evolution, and it never does. It's never that. That's never what's happening, right? Or it also happens with Hollywood, right? Once you start knowing a lot about a subject and you start watching movies that involve that subject, you're like, wait a minute. Like every time a reactor has ever gone critical and that's been a bad thing in a movie, that's been dumb. Because do you know what reactors are when they're in operation and producing power? Yeah, they're typically critical. That's where you want the reactor to be if it's producing power. It should be at criticality. Because criticality for a nuclear reactor means that you are making about as many neutrons as you are consuming to create new fission events, which means that your power output is at a steady rate. You want that. You don't want your power to be going up or down, meaning it's supercritical or subcritical. You want it to be critical.
In fact, as already mentioned, most evolutionists insist that evolution must no longer be thought of as a theory, but must be considered to be a fact.
I'm going to take another drink because we all know that, once again, Duane Gish, apparently, the well-credentialed scientist, doesn't know the difference between a theory and a fact in science.
See, I was just about to invoke Indio Montoya. I think you don't know what that word means.
Yeah, you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Yeah, Inigo Montoya was a fun character. Maybe after Star Trek, we'll take a day to watch The Princess Bride.
I haven't seen it in ages.
I haven't either. It's a really good movie, though. Although,
yeah.
Wait, okay, so Vish hasn't seen this, but Kip, have you seen The Court Jester?
No.
Am I weird for having seen this movie that is apparently some obscure movie from like decades ago?
What does it have to do with The Princess Bride?
Oh, they're
if
just
anything.
Two fairly old comedies that I happen to like.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Who's in it?
Jeez, it's so old. I don't even remember any of those actors from anything else. It's a super old movie. It's much older than The Princess Bride.
Okay.
In spite of this attitude, however, not only is there a wealth of scientific support for rejecting evolution as a fact, but evolution does not even qualify as a scientific theory according to the strict definition of the latter.
Oh, okay. So I am curious to see what Duane Gish is going to give us as a definition for a theory, that, given that he thinks that theories can graduate to become facts, which isn't how it works, but it will be interesting.
What criteria must be met for a theory to be considered as scientific in the usually accepted sense? It is inherent in any definition of science that statements that cannot be checked by observation are not really about anything. Or,
I mean, I don't know if they're not about anything, but they're not part of science, so I'd give you that. So, like, a weird way to put it, but I kind of get what he's going for.
at the very least, they are not science.
Yeah,
A definition of science given by the Oxford Dictionary is a branch of study which is concerned either with a connected body of demonstrated truths or with observed facts, systematically classified and more or less colligated by being brought under general laws, and which includes trustworthy methods for discovery of new truth within its own domain.
See, I really hate that definition, and you can tell that this dictionary was written not by someone who is a scientist, but by someone who's just kind of going around to see what this means, because a scientist, I don't think, would be very comfortable with that particular definition. So, oh yeah, the Court Jester does have Angela Lansbury as a very young woman.
Huh? Wow.
Like, you think of Angela Lansbury as like the somewhat older woman who played in like Murder, She Wrote, right?
Yes.
She might actually she's very young in the Court Jester.
Wow.
And yeah,
it is a very old movie.
Yes, yeah. It's one of those things where, like, One of the things I point out before, her unfortunate passing was that, there are certain actors who played old people when you were a kid and who are still around playing old people. Yeah,
Oh,
Angela
right.
Lansbury was one of those for me, and yet she was in fact yes. And as Christopher Sanford says, for £10, the poison pills in the flagon with the dragon. Yes, that's true. But the vessel with the pestle has the brew that is true. Until that changes, and we're not going to go through the whole thing. But yeah, that did come up actually last stream. Yeah, there's a whole extended thing about an assassination via poison, where our court jester has to keep track of which drinking vessel has the poison, and it keeps changing, and he has to keep remembering various rhyming schemes to try to remember which, in fact, drinking vessel he should not drink from in order to not die. So, yeah. Let me adjust the counter here. There we go. All right, here we go.
Thus, for a theory to
Gas-
qualify.
Sorry?
Well, I was just gonna. Chattering Ape said Angela Lansbury was even younger in Gaslight, which I did see.
I don't think I have seen that one.
Is that a Hitchcock film?
I don't think so.
But
it is where
No, I'm
the
curious.
term gaslighting comes from, if I remember correctly.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Because if I remember correctly, her husband was like turning off or on the lights and then pretending that
Mhm.
she had done that and trying to make her think that she was crazy. Which, by the way, here's a thing: gaslighting is not a synonym for lying.
No.
Thank you. I had to explain this to someone because this has been happening for years. Folks that don't know heard it and think it's just a fancy word for lying. It's not. It's a repeated, like habitual, intentional campaign to make you question your own mind and reality.
Yep.
It's not, oh, I told a lie to you once.
Yep.
Or I disagreed with you on something.
And it's specifically to make you question that you have a reliable sense of what's real. It's to make you think you're crazy. It's not just to convince you of something that's untrue. That's just a lie. Gaslighting involves lying, but it's there's a subcategory of lies. There's gaslighting, and not all lies are gaslighting. So if someone is not trying to convince you that your entire perception of reality is off by repeated lies about that, you're not being gaslit, you're being lied to. It's not great. You shouldn't be lied to, but it's not the same thing. Please stop using it interchangeably. Ugh.
As a scientific theory, it must be supported by events, processes, or properties which can be observed, and the theory must be useful in predicting the outcome of future natural phenomena or laboratory experiments.
Oh, all right. So this is actually getting more reasonable from where it was. The way that I generally would define science is that science is an empirical method of gaining information about the natural world that allows us to make predictions about future data points or events, as well as the body of knowledge thereby derived. That's what I think is a reasonable definition for science. And then you do have to go into what's empiricism. And empiricism is basically the idea that if you collect enough data, which are just various facts like we talked about earlier, that you can build a statistical model and use that statistical model then you go on for science stuff. So included in that is the idea that past experience can inform your expectations about the future, which is intuitively fairly obvious to humans, but it has actually in the past been fairly controversial because, again, like we talked about, technically it does not follow informal logic that past experience should predict future experience. But it works, and science largely does not try to justify that. Science is basically just like, it works, we're going with it. Which I say, okay, cool.
An additional limitation usually imposed.
The chat is saying that Gaslight is not a Hitchcock film.
Okay, then it's probably not.
And I mean, I do have to say, I mean, it's tragic that Alfred Hitchcock was such a horrible person. Because goddamn, he made some really, really good movies.
So here's
good news for people like that is that there's never any consequences, just temporary inconveniences.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'll say. So there's a big debate that occurs about separating the art from the artist,
Mhm.
right? And I'll say this. If the artist is currently dead and cannot use your enjoyment of that person's art to further victimize people or to further make the world a worse place or things like that, then I think it's fine to consume that art and to enjoy it and to acknowledge that the person who produced it was a piece of shit. So, for instance, I am perfectly happy to enjoy At the Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft. Howard Phillips Lovecraft was a piece of shit.
Mm.
But you know what? He's dead, and anyone can publish most of his books because they're public domain. And so when I buy an illustrated version of At the Mountains of Madness with full page, large, like coffee table size illustrations because I think it's really cool, I am not supporting Howard Phillips Lovecraft's xenophobia, anti-Semitism, or anything else like that. Classism? Yeah, there we go. I was gonna say classicism, but that doesn't sound right. Classism. On the other hand, stop giving money to J.K. fucking Rowling. And I owe myself $10. J.K. Rowling is actively pouring money into places where it is being used to harm trans people, especially in the UK, which is already a place where it's already tough enough to be trans.
Turf
Stop it.
Island.
Yeah, it's called Turf Island for a reason. Stop.
Wow.
Look, if you already own like the 7-book collection or like the 6-book collection, oh whatever, and like the movie collection or whatever on DVD or something, like sure, feel free to keep reading it and keep watching it, right? Do not give her new money. Stop it. That's my take on separating the art from the artist. When J.K. Rowling dies and her estate stops sending money to go harm trans people, and you then want to go buy your like box of knockoff, or not knockoff, but like imitation Birdie Bots every flavor beans, have fun because it's no longer hurting anyone. Till then, stop sending her money. The mold is winning when you do that. Let's see, we got a few things. Joe White for $5 says, I could have sworn that Gaslight was a Hitchcock movie. My sense of reality is in question. Which also, by the way, we got the
I'm happy I'm not the only one.
we've got the super chat goal, so we can now drop the F-bomb. Let's see. Kyle EP for $1.99 says the Corchester is free to watch on YouTube with ads. Oh, interesting.
Excellent.
Peggy Jace, the Carbon 14 Mythicist says for the FJKR fund. Yeah, indeed. Fuck J.K. Rowling. And I don't even know if I said her name right. I don't care. Metageeky Platypus Librarian for $5 says for the J.K. Rowling freaking fund. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And hey, if you're an actor and you're currently taking roles in her properties
stop it.
and giving her more money, you suck ass.
Yep. Yeah, that includes you, Simon Pegg.
Mm.
Yep.
Who's he playing? He's in the new series?
He's Hagrid.
Simon Pegg is.
Apparently.
Interesting.
But hey,
Wow.
but I love those books and those movies. It meant so much to them. It just means more to them than, actual human beings who are being harmed. So,
look, a lot of people read the surface narrative of Harry Potter, which is about being okay with who you are and accepting people that society is telling you, or parts of society are telling you are unacceptable for immutable characteristics, right? The whole pure blood thing, right? That's the whole point of it, right? That's why it's there, is to say that it doesn't matter about the circumstances of your birth as much as what you choose to do. In fact, that's a thing that Dumbledore explicitly says in the books. And if that's the story that you took away, and that's the thing that meant a lot to you, that's great. That's in there, and no one can take that away from you. Please stop giving her money. Because the things she's doing with that money run counter to that narrative. Pete Flower for $5 says, the thing about JKR is that her awfulness has destroyed my enjoyment of the work. The problems were always there. Look, that's fair too, right? If
yeah,
this
she named the character Cho Chang.
Yeah, she did. Sapphire Gay Sapiens Light says, consider donating your Harry Potter books, but that just spreads the nonsense. I'm not sure. I actually don't know what to say about that. I don't know. I still have a copy of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone somewhere in my bookshelf.
Well, hey, when I was in London in, I think, 2015, I bought an actual, I think it's Scottish wool Ravenclaw scarf, and I was like, "Yay, I have like the real thing!" Finding out, not too long after that she was a complete piece of shit. So, if anybody wants to buy that, I will donate the proceeds to a trans affirming charity
Nice. Hey, if you
to
have
try to
trouble,
counteract her BS.
if that interests
Yeah.
you, you can contact Vish if you have her contact information, and I'm pretty easy to contact, and I will let you know that if that's what you want to do, that is an acceptable reason to email me at my business email, which is on the channel description.
I did not know that Vish went to Scotland. That's cool.
I didn't go to Scotland. I went to England.
England. I heard
they're
Scotland.
close.
Why did
No,
I
the
hear
Scottish-
Scotland?
Because
The scarf is made from wool from Scotland.
Oh, okay. That's why.
The sheep went to
Cool.
Scotland.
I've never been to Scotland.
I haven't either. A friend of mine went to Scotland, and she was like, "What's there to do in Scotland?" So I was like, "I don't know. Let me ask FTFE." So I asked FTFE. I was like, "Hey, my friend's going to be in Scotland. What should she do?" He's like, "Oh, go to this castle." I'm like, "All right." He says, "Go to this castle," and so she did.
Nice.
Castles, drinking.
Yeah, haggis.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what you really got to do is you got to go hunt your own haggis. And go and catch a wild one.
Is that the theory must be capable of falsification. That is, it must be possible to conceive some experiment, the failure of which would disprove the theory.
Yeah, that's trivial for evolution. Sequence DNA, and it doesn't follow into the nested hierarchy, despite the morphology doing so. And there you go. You just did it. You falsified evolution. The problem is that it's like with gravity, right? There are a number of ways you could falsify gravity, but we checked, and it didn't get falsified. The fact that we checked and it hasn't been falsified doesn't mean it's unfalsifiable. It means that it's probably just true. Get a couple more super chats here. Let's see. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $5 says the sheep went to Scotland and the Welshman followed. Yeah. Landon Knoll for $1.99 says support my trans friends, boycott Tim Hortons. Now I don't know about the Tim Hortons thing. What is Tim Hortons doing?
I also don't know about this.
Okay. Landon, you might have to be give us some information about the Tim Hortons thing because I don't know anything about that.
But I will say, the coffee has always been overrated shit for as long as I can remember anyways. So you guys are not missing anything.
And then they got bought by like Burger King, didn't they?
Yeah, but that's just, it didn't, the coffee's always been bad. It's just,
right.
It's always,
I'm just saying
always,
that for a brand that built itself on Canadian identity to then be bought by a US company. And then I love that they marched out a bunch of franchisees who were like, we're Canadian. This is still a Canadian owned business. And it's like, kind of, but not any more than McDonald's is now, because most of the McDonald's in Canada are probably owned by like Canadian franchisees. Do you still think that McDonald's is a Canadian company? No. Not really. All right, we're going to get a little bit more in here, and then we're going to start wrapping things up. And Kip, start thinking about what you want to tell people, because you don't have 20 minutes to tell them the things.
Okay.
It's on the basis of such criteria that evolutionists insist that creation must be refused consideration as a possible explanation for origins.
Yeah, no, that's true. We'll take a drink. Accurate. That is why they do that.
Creation has not been witnessed by human observers, it cannot be tested experimentally, and as a theory, it is non-falsifiable. The general theory...
All true. These are
it
all
also
true.
doesn't make testable predictions.
That's true. Well, okay. Some young Earth creationists have made testable predictions. They just either haven't been tested or are found to be false. But like, for the most part, though, it is correct that young Earth creationism does not really make testable predictions. A Landon Knoll for $1.99 says Tim Hortons is doing a major media deal with J.K. Rowling. Oh, gross.
That'll do it.
Also, can we stop putting the K in there? Because she doesn't have a middle name. That was just a pretend thing that she made up because basically she was pretending to be a man when that was published, which, to be fair, is a thing she shouldn't have had to do, and that sucks, right? But, like, she doesn't have a middle name. Her name is Joanne Rowling. That's it. She doesn't have a middle name. So, I'm going to stop using the K.
Just kidding, Rowling.
Yeah, just kidding. Except she's not though. She's very much serious. In a way that okay. I want to point something out. Transphobia kills people.
Mhm.
Yep.
And the difficulty of
Really
getting
does.
gender affirming care in the UK has killed people. So when I say this, that she's harming trans people, I don't just mean that she's being mean to trans people. Because, like, if the worst thing she did was be like, oh, I don't like trans women, I'm like, okay, well, that makes you a dick, but like, whatever. But no, she is actively making it harder for people to get healthcare, and then they die. Not all of them, not all the time, but they do. There are people who are currently not alive, and it's at least partially her fault. People who would still be alive had she not helped fund things that were getting rid of their healthcare. You know what? That's pissing me off. And I am going to start saying that we're going to wrap things up because I don't want to keep talking about the biggest turf, the queen turf of Turf Island. So, Kip, what do you got coming up that you want people to know about?
I will be back tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, with another episode of Budget Scripture Saturday, starring Nitty and Dr. Tapioca Weasel. So come and check that out. And then on Thursday, hopefully, finally, I will get to read Zechariah chapter 8 with Dr. Jordan Jones. Some people, wisely or unwisely, called down the wrath of the Oregon Trail gods on Dr. Jones for missing this last week. But
wait, he died of dysentery?
Well, I mean, they called down the wrath of the Oregon Trail gods, but I'm hoping that he's such a nice guy that even the Oregon Trail gods couldn't do anything. They're just, so that's my hope. I feel pretty confident in that, so he should be back on Thursday. And then Vish and I will be back on Friday at the usual time and place.
Nope.
Correct. That's
no,
correct.
we won't. I will be out of town.
She will be out of town. So it'll just be me. Maybe I'll find someone else to hang out with for fun. But what I won't be doing is anything about Wes Huff, Joe Schmidt, or Richard Carrier. So it'll be something.
Yeah, you save that torture for when I'm there.
Yeah, I do.
Look, to be fair, all three of us have a friendship that is at least in part based on torturing the other two.
Torture. It really is.
So, all right. For £5, Shut Up Matt says Duane Gish was part of a Google whack hunt by David Gorman, who previously quested to find 54 people named David Gorman. Dave said, nice man, but loopy. I mean, that is fair. That he was loopy. I don't know that I would say he was nice, but then again, it's not like I met him, so like, what do I know? All right, Vish, do you have anything coming up that you want people to know about?
Yes. Coming up in the frame is this void cat.
Aw, look at the kitty.
I love it. Nice kitty.
He's very heavy.
For a guy who doesn't have cats, largely because he can't, my channels have a fair bit of feline presence, especially Top Hats Off. If you like cats, go check out Top Hats Off because we get a lot of cats on stream.
He was
complaining
because I'm not taking a nap yet.
Oh,
and it is nap
wants to sleep with me. Yeah, he wants to take a nap. He can't take a nap without his favorite nap buddy.
No, he can't. I love black cats.
That's true.
Black cats are special.
Yeah. All right, so what is coming up for me? All right, on Tuesday, we've got Kent with Bent coming up. Then on Thursday, we've got the next episode of the David Menton talking about Lucy thing, his Lucy, She's No Lady. I think it's the final part. Then, and yes, he will, as far as I remember, continue to sexualize an Australopithecus afarensis skeleton for some reason. It's weird and gross, and I don't get it. I do not understand the obsession with sexualizing Lucy, the Australopithecus afarensis. But anyway, then on Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, I should be doing the next episode of Star Trek Adventures, which is going to be The Fallen. I'm going to be working on that trailer this weekend. as well as getting that image finished for Vish, because otherwise she might come and hunt me down. Let's see. Then
Scare
yeah. Then on Saturday, the plan is Gish with Vish 15. We will continue on with this. We only made it
Next
through
Saturday?
And Saturday, she won't be here.
Oh, it'll be Gish
I will
without
not be here.
Vish, without 15. Or maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll also just find a different thing to react to, and I'll invite Kip, and it will be a Dapper React stream, and it will be a short thing. So, hey, what that means is if you find a short creationist or some other kinds of, nonsense bullshit, send it to me and say, like, hey, this is a suggestion for Saturday. So that maybe I can do a Dapper Reacts and have it be with Kip and be whatever that thing is. So, send me stuff. DM me things. I'm on Blue Sky. You can
And if
send.
you're going to be in Atlanta for Dragon Con, you can find me there.
There you go. All right. So with that being said, we are going to get out of here. You can join me if you're a patron or a channel member over on my Discord, where we're going to be watching a couple episodes of Star Trek Enterprise. Without Vish, despite the fact that it's her favorite Star Trek show of all the Star Trek shows.
It is.
Still never shows up.
I have shown up
Snack
once.
time.
That's true. You did show up once. Okay.
Yeah,
So
and
not
it's nap
never.
time.
It is nap time, I suppose. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So I hope that everyone has a wonderful, safe rest of your weekend. Have a great time. And also, ICE must be abolished. And I forgot credits. So bye, everybody.